KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. HANNYTIME. HANNYTIME. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
And we welcome you into the Wednesday edition of HANNYTIME 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I'm Charles Hannegriff along with Mario Jerez and Alondra Villarreal. Jacob Beck is out today. So we move on. Alondra, good to have you with us here today. And we will go, we got NFL draft stuff we're going to do in about 15 minutes with Chris Rosvoglu from Boot Crew Media. Guys at Boot Crew are all over it. They're going to be with us for the next 3 days. We got Jacob Hester is going to be from the draft. We'll have him tomorrow and probably Friday as well. So we got a lot of draft stuff to get to. Put my final mock up today in the Handycast if you want to check that out, presented by Supreme Rice. The podcast is already posted today. And this stuff with the mock drafts, it changes from minute to minute. A lot of last-second stuff coming in. So we took our best shot at the last mock today in the podcast. So we'll do a lot of draft stuff moving on here in the next 15 minutes. And we'll do first class, second class, no class today, as we always do on Wednesday. We start with LSU baseball, though. And it's a midweek game. I'm not going to go through the whole midweek game and what it means stuff. We've done that spiel before. I'll just say that last night's game was way more entertaining, disappointing if you're an LSU fan, I guess, than your regular garden variety midweek game. I'm usually not too much on Twitter and midweek game during the games. I'm trying to watch and, watch the NBA playoffs, do all that stuff. But after about 3 innings, I was just like, Nichols looks like they're playing with 14 guys out there. I mean, they caught everything. It was, you ever used to watch, ESPN used to do web gyms. I don't know if they still do that on baseball tonight. Web gyms, where they just play great play after great defensive play after great catch after great throw. It felt like I was watching the Nichols web gyms for like the season after 3 or 4 innings. I mean, just some terrific plays. Probably the best of which were made by a former LSU player. So when you think about it that way, it's like, man, not only are we kind of getting beat here, but West Hoops was a former LSU player. So you have all of those plays that are made. Then you have some LSU miscues. And those were frustrating as well. On a play where LSU's got the runner at the plate, and Hayden Travinski didn't catch the ball, but the runner never touches the plate, retreats all the way to the dugout without ever having touched the plate, and LSU makes a mistake in that instance. They go all the way to the dugout. Collins goes all the way to the dugout to tag him, by which time the runner breaks from third and makes it to the plate. The runner at the dugout would have been out regardless. They didn't have to chase him down. If they just go stand on the plate, they're going to be fine there. They also have a ball go through Malazzo's legs on a relay in the last inning that cost them a run. That ended up being a very important run. Then a base running mistake by Jack Merrifield, who was running in the game for Gavin Dugas in the 9th inning, on a ball that looked like it might get down off the bat of Cade Beloso, but another great play. Parker Cadu makes the play for Nichols, and they double Merrifield off. They double the runner off. I think he had already passed the guy at third. Anyway, they get the double play to end the game. So LSU loses the game. I thought it was a fitting way for the game to end on. It was a game that was full of two things. It was full of great defensive plays by Nichols and miscues by LSU. And the game ended on a great defensive play by Nichols and a miscue by LSU. You make enough of those. And honestly, with the bases loaded and 1 out and Beloso at the plate, I thought LSU was going to win the game. Even if they just tie it there, I think that they're going to win the game. The momentum had started to build a little bit in the inning. The Jones home run kind of got them going. They got another 2 base runners. I thought that they were on their way to winning the game, but you make that many mistakes in a game, and your opponent, I really thought more so than the LSU miscues, Nicholas won the game. I mean, give them credit. They made play after play after play. They kept LSU off the board until the 6th inning. Every time LSU looked like they were trying to put something together, Nichols would respond with a play of their own. Jay Johnson on the 6-5 loss to the Colonels.
Tip your hat to them on the defense. They took away several extra base hits. Their outfield played phenomenal. Obviously, it was a great play at second base, and they deserved to win the game tonight. They played better than us in all phases from the mound for sure, defensively and offensively. So they deserve to win.
No argument. However, there was one big bright spot in the game last night, and that was Thatcher Hurd. We've been waiting for Thatcher Hurd to come around. The talent that this young man has is not in dispute. It's just that for whatever reason, call it inactivity, call it coming back from the injury, call it new team, new environment, whatever. It just hasn't clicked for the guy. And if he was not so highly thought of, you might have seen him pushed to the back of the bullpen or out of, really pitching very much at all completely. But everybody around the program knows that Thatcher Hurd is capable of being a big-time pitcher, that he's capable of being an SEC weekend starter, that he's capable of being a first-round draft pick next year. And so they've just kind of been waiting for him to come around. He's had command problems. Early last night, I thought, kind of same thing. A lot of these pitches are flat. The velocity's okay, but not a lot of movement, getting behind in counts. And then all of a sudden, a line drive off the bat that catches his glove and actually knocks the glove off of his hand. And he's able to go third base side, pick up the ball, throw it to first for the out. And maybe I'm reading way too much into this, but I swear to you, I thought it relaxed him. It was, I'm no psychologist, and I'm certainly not a pitching coach, but I just looked at him after that, and it was kind of like, hey, man, I caught a break. I finally caught a break. Ball should have been in center field for a base hit. It was scorched, and he's into his follow through, and the ball just found his glove, and the ball was hit so hard that it knocked the glove off his hand, but he got an out of it. Sometimes in baseball it happens this way. If you're a hitter and you just hit line drive at people, these screamers that ought to be extra bases and end up getting caught, these long towering fly balls that, somebody like Wes Toops goes and takes off the top of the line, at the top of the wall. And then you get a little dink that falls in, a little bloop, a little ground ball with eyes, finds it, a swinging bunt, and all of a sudden you rip off 8 for 16. Sometimes it happens with pitchers like that. Sometimes, you're getting little bloopers, you're getting some bad luck. You're maybe not pitching well either, but then all of a sudden you just catch a break and you start to feel better about yourself. That ball should have been a base hit. But there were other balls that, have been hit this year against Hurd that should have been outs that weren't. Maybe, like I said, maybe I'm reading way too much into this. But sometimes all you need is one little thing to happen good for you, and you go, hey, here we go. And you rip off 5, 6, 7 good outings in a row. Here was Johnson on Thatcher Hurd.
Yeah, he did a good job tonight. That was, I would say, probably the bright spot. After that, we weren't very good out of the bullpen. And, to win one-run games, you need big hits, and we didn't get that in the ninth. And you need good bullpen work, and we didn't get either tonight.
The loss doesn't bother me all that much. It's inconsequential where their power rating is concerned. That does not bother me at all. It does not bother me that Tommy White had to sit or that Trey Morgan had to sit. It actually surprised me that Gavin Dugas didn't sit along with those guys. You're getting to that point in the season. People are getting tired. You're trying to get them ready for the stretch run. Give them a night off. If Tommy White and Trey Morgan are in the lineup last night, maybe they win. And you know what? I don't care. because maybe a night off for those two guys was more important than winning a game against Nichols. If LSU was 21-18, I'd feel differently. You would need every win on the schedule, but they don't. They're in very good position. I told you earlier in the week, I think LSU's RPI at this point is as close to bulletproof as you can get for this point in the season, so I'm not worried about that at all. So, entertaining last night, if you watched. I'll be honest with you, there are nights where after the sixth inning or so, I'm just kind of casually watching it, which means I'm watching a basketball game more intently and kind of got it on the side. I watched the whole way last night. Was exciting, was entertaining. Were you not entertained, Mario? You were watching basketball, weren't you?
Yeah, I was watching Trae Young.
I figured that. Oh, wow. He didn't bother him at all. That's about as cool a run-up, 7 seconds to go. They have to inbound the ball in the backcourt to him because of the Celtics pressure. And he comes up, and Jaylen Brown's doing what he's supposed to do. You have to play off of a guy at, what did they officially measure his head? About 35 feet?
Yeah.
Ish, something like that. You can't play a guy right up on him in a one-possession game with 3 seconds to go at 35 feet. That's not where you're supposed to be playing him. You're supposed to be playing off of him. You're supposed to kind of close out. Jaylen Brown did what he could, and Trae Young was not in the least bit fazed by anything that was going on there. Season on the line, 7 seconds, inbound the ball all the way in the backcourt. Jaylen Brown on. Ain't worried. You just switched it.
That was awesome, man. It was Damian Lillard-esque. And the context too, the week that Trae Young has had. The Athletic ran a anonymous survey and asked each NBA player or everyone that they got who they thought was the most overrated player in the league, and Trae Young won the poll. So a lot of people have kind of been talking smack. They got down in the series, but yeah, that was a big-time moment.
It would not be the biggest shock in the world if he were traded before the draft. They've changed coaches already. And I don't know what Quinn Snyder thinks of him personally. I don't know if he feels like going forward, this is who he wants to go forward with. If they wanted to trade him, there would be plenty of takers. They win that game, though, last night without DeJounte Murray, who's averaging, 25, I think, in the series, and a little over 20 a game for the season. He's the second leading scorer. You would have takers for Trae Young. What are the knocks on him? He's small. Who cares? Defensively, okay. I mean, he's not going to remind anybody of Dennis Rodman. I get it. Guy can shoot. Guy can score. There's going to be a market for him if they decide to trade him. I don't know if I would. How ironic, and this trade would never happen in a gazillion years, but you remember who he was traded for on draft night, right?
Yeah,
Luka. Okay. You guys want to swap problems? If I'm Atlanta, I'll make that trade in half a second. If I'm Dallas, I'm like, I'm going to try to make Luka happy here. No, it was a terrific end for them last night. Did not expect the Celtics to lose in that spot. All right, NFL Draft when we come back. Chris Voglu from Boot Crew Media is with us. It's HANNYTIME, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is HANNYTIME.
Infinity of Baton Rouge, ready to buy your vehicle off the street right now. They can get you a quote on your vehicle in less than 15 minutes. At that point, you can sell it outright for cash. You can trade in on another model. Can I recommend, again, the Certified Pre-Owned program? It's worked for us. We bought another vehicle there just a couple of months ago because the Certified Pre-Owned program means that Infinity of Baton Rouge is willing to back that used vehicle with a 100,000-mile warranty. They do that because of the rigorous inspection process that each one of these certified vehicles has to go through. And with that, here come the benefits. 1 year prepaid maintenance, courtesy call when you bring your vehicle in to be serviced, roadside assistance is provided for you. So you go in, you're going to be able to pick a model, a make, give them your year specifications, your price specifications, your mileage specifications. Then they're going to find the perfect vehicle for you, just like they did for us. On Airline Highway, it's Accurate Infinity of Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. and we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I drove myself to the ER, had heart surgery, and drove myself home 24 hours later, feeling fine. Starting running again after the procedure. I'm getting excited thinking about it. I had no pain, nothing. I felt great. And right then and there, I was like, oh my God, I'm back. I'm back. It's just amazing.
Oshner Health. Long live you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, HANNYTIME, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TD to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Bayou Ford has $2,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% APR for 84 months on new 22 Ford Expeditions. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Join me for Wednesday's edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. It's a What If Wednesday. We'll chat with Chris Demouy, recap LSU and Nichols, and SEC Baseball Power Rankings. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
1045 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The Dreams Come True Radiothon is presented today by Luba. Remember, every $5 donated is an entry into our raffle. You can win an Aaron and Austin Nola autographed bat, ball, and picture, or a Justin Jefferson autographed LSU helmet, and a Justin and Jamar Chase framed wall print. Donate today at 1045ESPN.com.
This is HANNYTIME with Charles Hannegriff on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
NFL draft tomorrow night. Whole crew will be over at Don Juan Cigar Bar for the draft. Jimmy and I will be starting off at walk-ons. We'll be at Don Juan's later in the night. Saints with the 29th pick in this year's draft. Chris Rosvoglu with Boot Crew Media covering the Saints. Chris, we're, I guess, I don't know, let's say somewhere in the area of 34 hours away from when the Saints pick. We talked last week. We threw some names out there. We've had one trade, the Aaron Rodgers deal. Not sure that affects New Orleans all that much. How you feeling a day out on New Orleans?
Yeah, I'm kind of, feeling the same way. Still feel like this is a team that will probably, make some calls in the next 24, 36 hours about trying to figure out who's moving back, how far they can move up if possible. But I still think they need to address D-line. I still feel good about some other positions like running back, maybe offensive guard. But like you mentioned, nothing has really drastically changed for the Saints yet, but I'd imagine things will pick up within the next couple of, I'd say 24 hours or so, especially with teams moving back.
So we've talked about who might be there at 29. Now I want to focus in on what's been a Saints strategy for many, many drafts, which is the move up. So this thinking along here with New Orleans, I would think that probably about as far as they could move up realistically, short of another Davenport trade here, is somewhere around 8 to 10 spots. So that gets them in the 18, 19 to 21 range. Who might be a player that they might target that would be worth it for moving up 10 spots, that might be there, that might be sliding a little bit more than maybe the Saints thought?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, I keep saying defensive line, but I think that there are certain guys that could still be there at 29. But if, let's say, a Miles Murphy from Clemson, who's kind of been in that 15 to 20 range in most mocks, some have him even higher than 15. Look, if he's there around pick 19, pick 20, maybe that's the type of guy that the Saints go after. The same can be said for Lucas Van Ness from Iowa, who is interesting because I still think that he needs to be more refined as a pass rusher. But if you're talking about a bull rush specialist and the type of guy that fits the Saints' MO, 6'5", big, strong defensive end. That's what they kind of like. So I think those are two names that they probably look at in terms of moving up to go get. And I feel strongly that way that it'd be them because, other positions like, let's say, receiver or even tight end, I still think there's a good chance those slip very close to 29 anyway, whereas guys like Miles Murphy and Lucas Van Ness, those seem to be in that 15 to 20 range.
All right, now let's go the other way. This is far less likely to happen, but let's cover all our bases here. Look, give me 4 or 5 guys that if all of these guys are off the board by the time the Saints get to 29, you go, that's where the drop-off is for New Orleans. And certainly, guys like Van Ness and Murphy would qualify. But kind of exhaust the Saints' bullpen, if you will. Those 4 or 5 guys, man, if all those guys are off the board and the Saints can't make a move up, who would they be? And then they just say, we're going to move back.
Yeah, I mean, those would be 2 guys that would probably be on the board. Those are probably towards the lower end of realistic chances, but other guys that the Saints definitely have been linked to, and it doesn't mean they're going to take them, but it's certainly fascinating because the fit would be Kalijah Kancey from Pittsburgh, the defensive lineman. Obviously some concerns about his arm length, but he definitely has the production. And then another guy would be Brian Brzee from Clemson, who I kind of think he might be there around that 29. Maybe the Saints have to move up a couple spots to get him. But look, there is that chance that he's not there. So that would be a concern. And then another guy who I'm not certain is a first-round pick, but look, maybe there is an early run on offensive lineman, and that helps his cause. Maybe Cyrus Torrence from Florida, and even Amazi Smith from Michigan, who has been rumored to have a lot of interest from the Chiefs. I mean, that could just be smoke, but those are definitely 5 guys that, look, they're all off the board. The Saints might either have to take a position that people didn't want them to take at 29 or do the unlikely thing, which is move back. But like you said, that's something the Saints aren't accustomed to doing.
And I would think that also both of the tight ends would have to be off the board, and I expect them to be, Kincaid and Mayer. I have heard a little bit about Luke Musgrave from Oregon State and Darnell Washington with Georgia. More so as a second-round pick, more in that 40 range than the 29 range. But tight ends, something that they could address in these first 2 picks, possibly.
I think it is, and I think for them, it comes down to value. If let's say the scenario happens where there's not a lot of defensive linemen on the board and they can't really move back, if Dalton Kincaid slips a couple of spots to 29 because maybe people just don't want to take a tight end early, or maybe there's some concerns about the back. then look, that could be a premium pick there, or even Darnell Washington at 40. And another name that's kind of been thrown around, and I don't think this would happen at pick 29 or pick 40, obviously, but with pick 71, the Saints could move up if they have to, is Tucker Kraft, the tight end from South Dakota State. He's a type of player who the Saints have met with. They've done extensive work on him, and he's a 6'5", 250 type of pass catcher that could really develop if the Saints work out well. Now, I don't know if they want to go the small school route again at tight end. They did that with Adam Troutman, but he's a player that's been linked to the Saints at that tight end spot, and he'd have to be taken on day 2.
You see, I was almost reading along with you in my head. I would have sworn you were going to say Sam Laporta there, the tight end from Iowa, who is drawing some very unfair comparisons to George Kittle, which is, just not fair. But a guy that in that offense, did some nice things and could be a better pro from a reception standpoint, from a production standpoint, than he was as a college player.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add to Laporta's case, and I think this actually would help him in terms of people evaluating, the passing game for Iowa, I think I'm being kind when I say it just wasn't good last year. And
that's
the
very
nicest way
kind.
I could put it. So
That's
for
very
him
kind.
to put up the numbers he did, it's wildly impressive. And I think that will go a long way for him. Plus, if you just look at the recent history of Iowa tight ends, they've translated pretty well to the pros, and I think that would definitely help him in that regard.
All right, 24 hours out, a little over 24 hours out from the start of this thing. First-round player that you think is moving up, first-round player that you think is moving down. Anybody that you're like, man, you know what? I'm feeling differently about that guy than I did a week ago.
Yeah, in terms of a first-round player who's moving up, I've been just reading around, seeing what everyone has to say, and it's starting to seem like Nolan Smith's getting a lot more attention than I thought. Now, I always thought Nolan Smith was a really intriguing prospect, but I've always had concerns about, does he end up in the right system? Like, for example, I don't think New Orleans would be a great system for a player like him because, historically speaking, under their current scheme, that's not the type of guy they thrive with. But, I mean, you've heard teams like even the Eagles have a ton of interest in him, and for a guy like that to maybe sneak into the top 12, top 13 when I was looking at him more in the 20s, that would be someone on the move up. As for on the move down, this has kind of been over the last couple of weeks, not just this week alone. But I thought Quentin Johnson from TCU would be a top 20 to top 25 pick, no doubt in my mind. But now I'm starting to wonder if he starts to slip out of that range because this is just not the most talented wide receiver class in terms of top heavy. And it seems like Jackson Smith and Jigba and Zay Flowers are kind of the prime guys from this class. So that's kind of where I'm at with those two. Obviously things can change, but those two players that I probably felt differently about maybe a month and a half ago than I do now.
Let me tell you where I got him mocked when we did our first round mock this morning. Nolan's, it's amazing because I didn't talk to you about this before before we did the show. I got Nolan Smith all the way up at 8 at Atlanta, and that is a system I think that he might fit into. It doesn't matter that he went to Georgia. He could have went to another school. I'm not giving him to Atlanta because he went to Georgia. But I could easily see him fitting in there. I know most of the smoke there with the Falcons is around Bijan Robinson. I just don't see it. They've got enough offensive guys where there's other holes there. Nolan Smith to Georgia. And I've got Quentin Johnson falling as well. Apparently there's a lot of concerns about his route running. Wouldn't he look good in Buffalo at 27? Wouldn't it be a nice consolation prize for having dropped maybe 8 or 10 spots to go to a team that's one of the favorites in the AFC?
I mean, I certainly think so, and I think that takes a lot of pressure off if he were to go to Buffalo, and you know that Stephon Diggs is going to be the unquestioned number one wide receiver there, plus you get the catch passes from Josh Allen. I think that actually might benefit him more than if, Quentin Johnson went to, let's say, a team like the Giants where, yes, they're on the rise, but are we sure that Daniel Jones is the franchise guy, let's say, for years to come, and 2022 wasn't just a flash year for him? So yeah, that could definitely benefit him for sure.
All right, let me go some true false here and see what you think here at the top of the draft. True or false? Houston will take a defensive player at number 2.
I think that's true.
True or false? That defensive player will be somebody other than Will Anderson.
It sounds crazy to say, but I'm starting to think it's true with Tyree Wilson. Just so much smoke around him. I feel like it might be true.
Yeah. True or false? C.J. Stroud will go in front of Will Levis.
I'm going to go false there. I feel like Vegas knows something. Those odds have just been boosting over the last couple of days.
True or false, C.J. Stroud will go in front of Anthony Richardson?
I'll still go true on that.
Yeah. True or false, Anthony Richardson falls outside the top 10?
That'll go false. I think someone will convince themselves they'll be the team to kind of turn that talent into production.
True or false, we have not had a draft night. This was a good stat by Schefter earlier today that I didn't know. We have not had a draft night trade in the top 9 picks in the last 4 years, which I watched every one of those picks and every one of those drafts, and it seems to me like, now this is draft night, not before the draft. So true or false, we will have a pick traded in the top 9 picks on draft day?
I will go true. I just keep looking at Vegas. I think they're the team to do it.
Vegas could make a trade. What do you think? Get off the true false here for a second. Tennessee, if one of these quarterbacks falls outside the top 6 or 7 picks, an Atlanta-Tennessee trade could make some sense. If Atlanta wanted to trade back, and Bijan Robinson could still be on the board if that is their guy. Tennessee jumps up 3 or 4 spots, and gets a quarterback because they're worried somebody else is going to jump them. That makes sense right up to the point where you look at Philly and Chicago in between those teams, and neither one of them are going to take a quarterback. So you're really playing defense against another trade if you're Tennessee.
Yeah, you absolutely are. And I do think it would just come down to, how you're looking at your board, especially from Atlanta's perspective. But you know what? If you're Tennessee, you probably look around and, you can never trust teams. I know Washington says they love their quarterback situation, but who knows? And then the sneaky one that has been rumored, no one's confirmed it yet, but, what if someone slips in Tampa Bay who doesn't have a quarterback gets interested? Now, they could just play the long game for next year's draft, but you can't rule that out. So I do think Tennessee's the type of team that if a certain quarterback they like is there, they might start looking to move up, and it might even be earlier than 7.
True or false, Hendon Hooker goes in the first round?
I'm going to go with false.
This is the breaking point for Vegas. Okay, you've referenced Vegas a lot. We did a podcast on that yesterday about first round wagers. The over under of quarterbacks in the first round is 4.5. This is all about Hendon Hooker. We know the other 4 guys are going in the first round. They may not all go in the top 10, but they're going in the first round. Hendon Hooker, in or out of the first round, is all about where this over-under is. Getting a lot of love to Minnesota at 23, but you're not buying.
Yeah, I still, for some reason, now this is just a little off topic from the NFL draft, but I still feel like Minnesota would be the team that starts calling about Trey Lance if he becomes available. And I just don't know if Hendon Hooker's the guy that they'll end up being, their ideal successor to Kirk Cousins. I think it makes a lot of sense. I just think they might go in a different route and then maybe call the 49ers later on and say, hey, maybe a day 2 pick or whatever for Trey Lance.
What do the 49ers want for Trey Lance? This is fascinating to me. 2 years ago, 24 months ago, Trey Lance and Zach Wilson were the second and third pick. Wilson went second and Lance went third. You could have Zach Wilson for free right now. I know everybody's going to start going with the free stuff, okay? But honestly, I think if you call the Jets right now and ship them a 4, they would ship you Zach Wilson. Lance would be a little bit more expensive. What do you think his price tag is?
I think that, right now for Lance, I kind of thought that, a third-round pick makes sense because, the good thing that's working for him that works against Zach Wilson is he hasn't really played. So there aren't that many negatives to really, bang on the kid. Now, you could say the injury concerns are there, but what I do find fascinating is that he was, mentioned in these trade rumors last week, and then John Lynch comes out this week and pretty much says, we're not shopping him, whatever. And I think that was kind of his way of saying we haven't gotten the offer that we're looking for yet. And I do think, though, that at some point the Niners might just settle. If they can get a late day 2 pick, I think that's kind of what you're looking at with Trey Lance.
Boy, they paid a lot for him. But they've got other quarterbacks. And, I think it's kind of a under the radar thing that they signed Sam Darnold, okay? And I don't expect Darnold to be a long-term starting quarterback anywhere, much less San Francisco. But it does give them Brock Purdy insurance, doesn't it? If Purdy's not ready to go at the beginning of the season and they traded Lance, they've got Darnold there to keep the seat warm. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo won games there. Can you win enough games with Sam Darnold waiting on Purdy to come back and you're convinced with Purdy that you do feel good enough to move Trey Lance?
I actually think you can. I know it sounds crazy, but I look back at this past season, and the Panthers in the 6-game stretch with Darnold that he started. Now, I know that wins are not a QB stat, it's a team stat, but the team did go 4-2 during that 6-game stretch. And ironically enough, the interim coach was Steve Wilks, who is now the defensive coordinator of the 49ers. So I think that played a factor in them bringing him in. I'm sure Wilks felt somewhat good about Sam Darnold, maybe whether it's how he acts in the facility, and maybe made that the suggestion. And look, Darnold hasn't had a lot of help in his career. This is the first time that he has an offensive-minded coach that people trust, and he's got a lot of weapons around him. So I think if he had to hold down the fort for, let's say, the first month of the season, I think he absolutely can do that.
Chris Rosvoglu from Boot Crew Media, thank you so much. Enjoy the draft, and we'll talk to you next week, see how this all shook out.
Thank you for having me.
Chris Rosvoglu, Boot Crew Media. We'll take a break. First class, second class, no class. When we return, Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's. We got music ready to go tomorrow night after Mario finishes up his Swamp Pop Jitterbug lessons. They're back there at 6 o'clock. Billy Harris on stage at 7, then Jared Kelly on Friday night. Your live music at Big Mike's. Now, ball crawfish going to weekends only, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, starting at 11 o'clock. So get your ball crawfish there starting on Friday at 11 a.m. Monday nights, all you can eat boiled shrimp. Big Mike's, great place to watch a game over 40 TVs, watch the draft, watch some baseball, watch the NASCAR, watch the golf, all of it there for you. Happy hour drink prices Monday through Friday, 3 to 7, but all day on Sunday starting at 11 a.m. Let Big Mike's handle your catering for your private functions. Offsite catering is available, but if you'd like to rent out some of the party rooms, there's multiple size party rooms that you can have your private events at. In the heart of Denham Springs on Aspen Boulevard, Big Mike's. We're kind of a big deal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring. Wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go? Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. We're a day out from the NFL Draft. Mike Triplett joins us, and we'll recap LSU Nichols from the box. Join us for Wednesday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is HANNYTIME with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. HANNYTIME. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
First class, second class, and no class. We started off with first class, and I've got a dual entry this week. First of all, I want to say this is my very good friend for a long time, and I broadcast hundreds of games with him, so I was really happy on Friday when the LSU Hall of Fame said that they would be recognizing Jim Hawthorne with the distinguished honor by the Hall of Fame. Also, Sam Nader, who has been worked at LSU just for 46 years. These two guys, between them, probably put in over 80 years with LSU. And I know Sam, and I even took Sam's class. But Jim, I sat next to for 15 years on baseball broadcasts. So I'm just really, really happy for Jim. It's well deserved. He is going to be recognized by the LSU Hall of Fame with the Distinguished Honor Award. So congratulations to Jim. I haven't had a chance to talk to him since this got announced, but very, very happy for my friend. Also, the NBA Rookie of the Year award was awarded this week. Paolo Banchero, the number one pick. I got to give it. I thought that Jabari Smith was going to be the number one pick. And Smith had an up-and-down year, a decent year for a rookie, but Banchero was the runaway winner of this thing, and he should be. But that's not where my first class is going. My first class is going to former LSU Tiger Tari Eason, who just finished up his rookie year with the Houston Rockets. Mario, you want to take a guess as why I like Tari Eason in his rookie year with the Houston Rockets?
Why? Tell me.
There's one stat that I really, really liked about him. Okay. I'm going to give you the number. Mm-hmm. You're going to get it right away.
All right.
The number was 82.
Every single game.
Under GP, games played, out there every night. This is becoming more important to me, you see, okay? I used to think, oh, well, the guy's got, an injury. But then all of a sudden, people started sitting out when they didn't have injuries. They just decided to sit out. So, Tari Eason, 82 games played. Thumbs up, my man. I appreciate that. Because when, if I was buying a ticket to a Houston Rockets game, which I don't plan to do anytime soon, I want to see everybody that's available to play. Tari Eason, first class. Second class, good with a chance to be great. We've spent a lot of time this week and last week talking about movement in the NFL draft. Let me give you two guys for LSU that are definitely going to get drafted, but have really done a nice job in the pre-draft process that I think they could go higher than what we believe that they would go at the end of the regular season. One of them is Jaquilin Roy, and I was really impressed with Roy's season. I thought the production was up, but I thought he showed, again, I'm sorry, this is a big deal to me now. Guys that play all the time and play hard all the time, this used to be a given. Everybody played as hard as they could, as long as they could, and now it's just not valued as much anymore. It's just, well, you don't feel like playing, you don't have to play. No, Roy, along with Mekhi Wingo, who's coming back, probably was pushed into playing 90% of the snaps. Played really hard, played really well. And, good numbers at the Combine, at Pro Day. I think Roy is going on, not only do I think he's going on day 2, I think he's got a chance to get in the second round. And If you had asked me at the end of the regular season, I would have probably said, well, 4th round, something like that. I think he's moved up. I think there's room for him in the 2nd round. If not, I think he's definitely going in the 3rd. The other one's Anthony Bradford, who, again, I thought shook off some of the early injury problems that he had in his career. Thought he slotted in at guard a lot better than he fit at tackle. He is the prototypical size for an NFL guard. Got his weight down a little bit at the combine, a little bit heavier at pro day, but nothing that's going to shake it up. Thought the numbers were good for him. I think he's got a chance to go in on day 2. Probably the 3rd round pick. I don't think he gets in the 2nd round. But I think he's got a chance to go in the 3rd round. If he doesn't, I think he's, for sure going to go very early on day 3. So these two guys are definitely going to get drafted. I think they've got a chance to go higher. I think they did a really good job in the pre-draft process of moving themselves up, Jaquilin Roy and Anthony Bradford. And no class. Mario called this one during the break. He said, please tell me that you're going to talk about Dylan Brooks. Well, you see, I have to, because Dylan Brooks was done talking about himself after the game Monday night. Oh, he had plenty to say before the game. He was going to poke the bear, and he didn't respect old guys until LeBron went out and got, was it 40 on him?
20 and 20, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he said before the game, he says, till you go out and get 40 on me, I ain't got any time for you. Oh, this guy called out LeBron James. Now, listen, I haven't spent very much time on the show taking up for LeBron James. The national media more than carries the water there, okay? I feel about LeBron James, like I do about a number of superstar athletes. I respect his game. I think the coverage of him is oversaturated, and there are times where you just get sick of hearing about LeBron James. Never question the guy's talent, and never question the guy's production. And yes, he's pretty hard guy to get out of the lineup too. But LeBron James didn't take the bait before the game. I mean, come on. You're Dylan Brooks, and he's LeBron James. I mean, come on. He's the leading scorer in the history of the NBA, and you're telling him he's got to get 40 on you to earn your respect? Like LeBron James is worried about what Dylan Brooks thinks of him. Dylan Brooks, I'm sure, doesn't think much of what I think of him, could care less, but it's my show, so I'm gonna do this. So after all that chirping and all that, what did he say, poking the bear? I like to poke bears. After the Grizzlies got beat to go down 3-1, and James put 20 points and 20 rebounds on him, what did Dylan Brooks – play the clip, Mario. What did Dylan Brooks have to say after the game? Go ahead.
Don't have the clip ready, but he did not
Why don't you have the clip ready?
Because there was no clip. He said, I'm out.
Yeah, good answer.
For the 2nd straight game.
Yeah, he didn't have anything to say after the game, right? He had plenty to say before the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry. You want to talk? That's fine. You remember the scene from White Men Can't Jump when Marcus Johnson's character, he's like, you dunk on me, you can talk. You shut me down, you can talk. You losing? You got to shut it, man. Okay? Well, you got to at least own up to the fact that, you got beat, all right? And James had a game like he's never had before. LeBron's never had 20 and 20. You gotta talk. You gotta back it up, or you at least gotta mea culpa at some point and go, hey, you know what? They were the better team. But no, he took the chicken way out and just no, we're not gonna talk after the game.
Yeah, awful. I always say don't act like a clown if you can't get laughed at, and that's what's happening with Dylan Brooks here to an extent. And let's not forget Ja Morant, Mr. I'm good in the West, acting like he did the whole offseason, and then the only game they've won so far in this series is the game in which he did not play. So he deserves no class as well.
I got no great love for the Lakers, obviously, but I almost hope that the Grizzlies win tonight. You know why? Because them two are going to be running their mouth after the game if they win tonight. And I think it'll just double down on the spotlight. These guys are the ultimate front runners. They only talk when they win. And I think that could happen tonight. I'm in a little bit of disagreement. Colucci and I were on different sides on this yesterday when we were talking about the game. I don't think the Lakers don't have to win this game. The same way the Warriors didn't have to win this game in Memphis last year. They were laughing at the Grizzlies on the bench. Draymond was laughing at them. He was enticing the crowd like, enjoy it now because in 2 nights your season's over. Lakers can do that tonight. I mean, I don't know if they're as secure in their position as Golden State was a year ago, but they don't have to win this game tonight. So if Memphis wins the game tonight, let's see what they got to say. First class, second class, and no class, brought to you by Supreme Rice. We'll take a break, come back, wrap things up. HANNYTIME, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is HANNYTIME.
Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. Support our Louisiana farmers by buying Supreme Rice. Let me tell you, they've been growing, milling, and processing Supreme Rice down in southwest Louisiana near Crowley since the 1930s. So you're going to get a superior product. You're going to get it at a great price. More bang for your buck with Supreme Rice, whether it's the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine. Supreme Rice is a delicious product. Use it in your red beans, use it in your etouffees, use it in your stews, use it in your jambalaya. We're in the festival season mode right now. Pick it up at your AG food stores, your Walmart neighborhood stores, and your Rouses, wherever you buy rice. Make it Supreme Rice. For more information, some unique recipes, visit the website at SupremeRice.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Not only did she tell us, but this young lady, stand up. And this young lady,
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
For live coverage of the 2023 NFL Draft, starting with round 1 Thursday at 8 p.m. and continuing Friday at 6 p.m. and Saturday at noon. Our coverage is presented locally by Rouses, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The Dreams Come True Radiothon is presented today by Luba. Remember, for every $5 donated, you get an entry into our raffle. You can win an Aaron and Austin Nola autographed bat, ball, and picture, or a Justin Jefferson autographed LSU helmet. Donate today at 1045ESPN.com.
This is HANNYTIME with Charles Hannegriff on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
out of the Bayou Ford chat, and a question about the Titans, or a prediction that the Titans would trade Derrick Henry tomorrow night. I don't think that is outlandish at all. Tennessee's in a little mini rebuild, if you will, and I expect that they're going to take a quarterback at some point, whether they got to trade up to do it or if they hold at 11. I was, though, trying to figure out teams that Derrick Henry – so from the Titans standpoint, I get it. Henry's at the end of his prime, and they're looking to recoup something for him while he can still hammer out 1 or 2 more good years for a contender. I was trying to figure out who he made sense for, though. I came up with 2, Mario. Detroit is one. If they don't, and they could be in the Bijan Robinson sweepstakes at 18 or moving up, but if they don't get him, be a nice compliment to Swift. Detroit's a playoff team next year. You get that, that big, hammer back to get back there. So Detroit would make some sense for me. And then the other one I came up with was Philadelphia, who also may be in the Bijan Robinson. Those are 2 contending teams. Obviously, the Eagles were in the Super Bowl last year. Detroit, I think, is a playoff team. Those were the 2 I came up with. Anybody else?
No, I think those make a lot of sense. I mean, that would be a great replacement for Jamal Williams, that mold you're describing. And then Philly, I think, as a compliment to Jalen Hurts, could be good too.
1,750 career carries. Henry's 29 years old. It seems like he's been in Tennessee for about 15 years, and at 350 carries a year. But you know what? Last year, he's still right there, man. 349 carries, 1,500 yards. I mean, he's still cranking them out. 13 touchdowns last year. Draft night, can't wait. Got to go home and deal with wardrobe. This must be how Kim Mulkey feels. Everybody wants to know what I'm going to wear tomorrow night. Yeah. Something warm in here tomorrow for sure. Thanks to everybody for participating. For Mario and Alondra, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks and all new